welcome to the E-Interview series of Electron. Thank you
Yay!
so much. Thank you so much for saying yes to this. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to me. And one thing that I always
Of
wanted to
course.
say to you was this, that I have been your fan since day one when I started dancing, like when I started
Nah,
electro. Yeah, that's true. That's
nah.
true. The teacher of mine, he told me about you, and then I started watching your videos and everything, and I can totally say that you inspired me a lot in this journey. And
No.
thank you so much for this again.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just trying to do everything at once, which is too much already. But yeah, thank
Got
you.
it. No problem. Thank you so much. Firstly, how are you doing?
uh, Running everywhere, organizing stuff. Actually, I have some really good news. I'm supposed to actually also traveling again this year. I've been traveling the last year, but not as much as this one. This one is going to be quite special because I've received the news today that I was taken for another company as like a
Oh,
dancer.
all right.
And so that means I have double jobs. So working with a company in Denmark, and now there is an official company that wants me also in Paris. So that's good.
All right.
And as an organizer, not even an organizer, but let's say I organize my own work by just proposing also myself sometimes as either way an experimental dancer or mostly electro dancer, because my main dance is electro, but I use it not just as in electro way, but in every way.
All
I've
right.
worked with company people into like just contemporary people in London, as much as Denmark, as I said. But now I'm actually going to work also in Hanoi, Vietnam,
Okay.
which I'm getting ready a workshop for in March, and I'm supposed also to getting ready a workshop in Baku, Azerbaijan. There is another one that is a big thing also in Hong Kong, 2026.
Amazing.
And yeah, now next target should be India.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You're in India, people are crazy about you. They keep
Yeah,
watching your
but they
videos.
don't need workshops. They already have all the keys. That's okay.
Yeah,
They don't need it. I
got
will
it.
come for battle.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So there are a few questions that I want to ask you. Some of the questions
Yeah.
are from the dancers from India as well. So firstly, I wanted to know that what is electro for you?
Electro is literally the baseline inspiration of disco, mixing with juggling moves and juggling dance, or either way, juggling rituals, as some people would say in French culture or community.
Right.
Usually, we have those type of, I don't want to call names, but usually in France, back in the day, in the 2000s, it was kind of a hippie vibe to actually doing juggling with balls and bolas and
Okay.
fluorescent stickers
All
on
right.
techno music. It was
Oh,
kind of the, oh, hey, you taking drugs and you just doing hippie dance or stuff like that. But that type of juggling thing was
yeah.
literally borrowed from people from the streets, literally in the main city of Paris, and was literally just becoming a quite common thing between different type of clubs, because not everyone was going at the same clubs,
Right.
and between people that was just shuffling on the side, early
Okay.
2006 2005, on beginning of electronic music era, just after the French touch era, just after Daft Punk.
All
It
right.
became more like mainstream to just do this
Okay.
and this and this with like fluorescent stuff, just to, you know, represent this, or like this or this, for example.
All right.
This is electro innovation by just something that is supposed to not even being like typical dance, I would say.
All right. Amazing. Amazing. Can you explain that how was electro back? How it started in France?
Um, as I said, with the inspiration of bolas or juggling from circus, from people that was literally watching and not professional, they
Okay.
just borrowed the idea and put some fluorescent stickers and just trying to move as like disco vibe into this.
Right.
Most likely, the stuff that I know or the stuff that I saw this in 2006 when I was still trying to hang out with like cool parties that was literally outside in summers, or even with some clubs that was literally just, you couldn't go into that club if you were not 18 years old, but I knew some people, and also my mom that was also part of that club, and I was still 16, for example.
Okay.
So I was kind of privileged, but I was not the only kid. There was a lot of kids that was doing that.
Alright,
So
got it.
early 2006, I saw some people literally wearing American apparel sweatshirts, red, blue, green, with not even skinny jeans yet, but let's say in between baggy jeans, even the branding like Eco United or Dickies, I remember that, or Vans, and still trying to do this, like this, but slow, like very slow, and still like more groovy and very street style than the big movement that we have now. And this was kind of the basics, but that basics was literally the germ or the bacteria of the whole spreading three styles that we have in Paris that became what we call tectonic and also electronic dance. Some of the mainstream people that we know today that are like OGs, for example, William Falla, aka Trixie,
Yes.
from Ecclesiastic Crew, that was with Vavan, Fredu aka Fred Goma, Vavan, I don't know his real name, but all these people was part of the cast of the club called Metropolis. That club, since like early days, was proposing a lot of different parties, and it became much famously known for proposing the first ever party called Tectonic Killer.
Yeah, right.
That was the actual brand that started the whole movement. When we say started the whole movement, it's still a branding because the movement started anyway. And in other club, there was no Tectonic Killer parties. It was just minimal electro house, Dutch house, dirty house, David Guetta type of house, Sebastian Bay type of house, like Ibiza house, I would say.
Right.
But that was just for like people that wanted to stay into the main city, that didn't wanted to assimilate themselves with people that do hairstyle and stuff like that. Because for them, they would say, oh yeah, there was not a racial thing, but they would say like, somehow there were people that was much more coming from the streets. They used to hang out into a club that was much more inside the city of Paris. But Metropolis was a bit outside at the extremity of it, and it was mostly for people that has car that could actually drive this way, like to the club, and not really accessible by any young people. And on this side of the Metropolis, you had the first ever, as I said, party called Tectonic Killer. That was, the goal of it was bring back the Geber art style and jump style from the north of like Europe, music style and music-wise, into these parties, but beginning with a strong community music movement from the south that was literally Ibiza, Mallorca, Malaga type of sound, to call that shock called tectonic, because tectonic of plates.
Right.
That's why they call that tectonic. And yeah, even on the DJs, DJ RVB, that was the responsible for electro music, and DJ Des, that was the switch of the party, that was literally hardcore, hardstyle, Geber, and jump. But yeah, the rest of it was just two different styles, sometimes a bit too much battling between each other, because the other one didn't like art style very much. There was only people that was going to Metropolis that was really here for the art style and creation of teams. Diamantec for me. I began with technically my own, but I was part of Diamantec back in the day. There was Fanatec, Diablotech, Epidemitech also, but like too many names, too many people with like numbers and cruise numbers. Like there was like even 100 people by cast sometimes.
Wow.
So yeah, a big club, let's say a really big club.
Yeah.
But into the more electro side, because Metropolis was still art style, but because it began with electro at the beginning to switch the, like in between 2 o'clock in the morning to art style, people that was doing art style was still training on electro. So that type of electro became what we call vertigo, which is about vertige.
Right.
That's why they dance like this, and with the actual cast about haircut, bowling with the knees up.
Right.
And you see the difference, for example, if you check the videos from like 2006, 2007, you check, for example, Milliard versus Trixie.
Right.
They both have distinct style because they were not at the same club.
Okay. Got it.
Electro that we have also today, which was technically Electro Battle Vertifight,
Right.
that type of electro was mainly danced on minimal electro house. And because that type of club was really, I would not say that much short, I would say packed, a lot of people. You didn't have enough space to raise up your arms like this. So you had to dance like short, really short, and doing like move that you can reproduce and that you can gain respect with, even with people from hip hop. And since back in the day in 2006 in Paris, a lot of people was using tutting, even in popping and new style or hip hop.
Right.
A lot of electro people, when they were just doing like this, and move like this, they were just doing this. And then it became something like this into this.
Wow.
Yeah,
Amazing.
and just because of the public, they couldn't make that much move. Even if there was like some cipher inside the main room, they were still using this as a main starter, this as a head, but even this was not the same way of like doing this, for example. This was totally different.
Different.
And even some people from cast to different cast, if they saw that some people was doing a move that was like this, they would say like, hey, tectonic, no, go away.
All right.
They didn't like each other. Not at all.
Then how everyone came together?
That's, I would say that even fun fact, Touch and Go was not even a base of Electro. It was a base of Vertigo and mostly Milky Way.
Okay.
Milky Way was the third cast of in between those two styles, created mostly by Spooky, Jack Error, and Maestro, that was mostly interested not in art style or just electronic minimal, but mostly in electro rock, French touch, Daft Punk, Justice, Stereo Heroes, those type of tracks, which is really like dun 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 dun, those type of like electro tracks,
Right.
and really funky bass. At the point that they even released their own vocabulary of steps that was technically a different name from the steps that we had, either way in Vertigo or either way in Electro. For example, this is a haircut, but the combination of it for me is an enroulé, but this is Vertigo style. In Electro type of battle, they're literally gonna do this, to be more secure. Right. But even for them, they have what they call chupa chups, which is a different style of haircut. So even haircut is not even just one step, it's literally just a concept.
Okay.
So yeah, those two freestyle became the combination of the style that we have of Electro today. But it survived because Tectonic became more like this throughout 2008. I would say even early 2008, because even the album that they were selling was going down. The people was not supporting that much Tectonic anymore because the hip-hop community was all saying like, yeah, there was a lot of homophobia, blah, blah, blah. Right. It was really bad back in the day. It was really, really bad. And the only people that was literally producing, surviving culture and still going at it was just Vertified. They were the main survivor of this whole thing. When people saying like, yeah, Tectonic was just a mode or a fashion statement, or either way, just one moment in life, Vertified was still the one putting events, still going and still being underground and still just keep it up. Got it. So yeah, I would say like it's because of Vertified that electronic culture just survived. And even if there is no beef with Tectonic technically, it's just that it was kind of a misunderstanding, but at the same time, Tectonic tried to be what hip-hop was back in the day, which means hip-hop is a big word, because if you say lock, pop, new style, break, sometimes they say walking and voguing are part of hip-hop, but no, technically it's not. They're just going to say hip-hop because it's supposed to represent peace, love, and unity, and you know, the whole peace message, even if there is a lot of homophobia with it. But since back in the day, Tectonic tried to be that for electro community, because Tectonic was supposed to represent electro, vertigo, jump style, art style, even hack also.
Okay.
and even shuffle, because it was the new electronic dance, as they say.
Right.
But it fell down completely because technically Tectonic is still a brand, and you cannot compare that to hip hop, because you cannot say, "Oh, you're dancing hip hop, then I'm dancing Nike and I'm dancing Adidas."
Right.
It doesn't work.
Completely understood. Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. But yeah, I'm dancing Macintosh or something like that. Or I'm dancing Microsoft.
Right. Got it. Totally understood.
So yeah.
All right. Also, I wanted to know that what drew your attention towards electro dance? What were you attracted to, and then you started doing it?
There was a few moves that I was interested in. As I said, like in 2006, that was technically the first time that I saw electro dance, but I didn't know what it was until it was confirmed in 2007 when I saw that also at the TV. With one video clip called Yell à cause des garçons, that was starring Trixie, Vavan, Fredou.
Right.
But before that, the only thing that I was finding interesting is the way that I've always been a big geek about martial arts and way to actually defend yourself with hands.
Right.
And I was finding this move or this way of dancing very interesting as my past relating to switching hands performance, I would say.
Right.
Instead of just doing hip hop when I was seeing in movies, or crump dancing when I was seeing people just trying to dance like this in my high school, for example, I was not interested. But when I saw that, I was like, this is weird, because at least not just the feet are moving, everything is kind of moving.
Yeah.
And people that are saying that electro is mainly based on arms, it is not true. We use arms to express, but it's not just arms. You can literally use everything from your body. It's just that on the general knowledge, there is more steps about arms, but you use your legs with it. You lose your body with it. It's like saying that hip hop is not about arms. It's not the good definition.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah.
Got it.
So mainly there was that big move that I saw that was just what I call Diabolo, because it was still part of the bolas juggling thing. You know, when they take two big
Yeah.
ropes with like thing lining,
That's right.
and they just do this. This was the first move that I saw.
Okay.
And then my own mom showed me this move, which was a different variation. And I saw like, yeah, I can do that too. But like, isn't it the same thing that we saw a year ago, like on the television? She's like, yeah, that's it. And then she was like,
Okay.
doing things like this.
Got it.
But yeah.
Okay.
And then there was like already this that I was already like working on, which is a big cross. But this, I literally had it from like martial arts, with like training with like, you know, either a sai or nunchucks, or even just like a big bow staff, you know. This is literally a transition move that I having when I was like fighting in, you know, even like fights like weapons. So I found the parallel was just like funny, because I could literally dance by using techniques that I already practiced into a dojo or something like that. I was like, it's funny, it's nice.
Wow.
And also the music was nice also. So yeah.
That's actually amazing how one thing inspires another. So it's actually very amazing. Also, I wanted to know your approach towards your movement. So, what is the approach towards the movement that you do?
Well, I've been going through a lot of periods and episodes, just like a TV series. There was a lot of seasons about my own dance and how I wanted to express. First, even in electro, that was just pure electro, pure expression coming out of nowhere, or just using even the martial arts techniques that I had, but into my dance, which was not even my dance for me. It was just a way of expression. There was some bases of house, a lot of base of using locking at one point, but it was just because of the capacity of body, you know, the actual technique about being able to do a split and coming back up without effort,
Right.
just to do it into an electro thing. Not to reproduce the same movement, but just the capacity of being able to actually do a flip if I need to do a flip.
Right,
even
right.
if that could fit into locking or breaking, for example. But by borrowing that type of energy, I could just implement that and even innovate another movement. So it was always a borrowing thing from everything. But at the same time, I didn't know that that thing was already existing. So in some kind of way,
Yeah.
it became something else. But nowadays, since I've been also doing an academy way after that, very late, 2013, I was into dance and singing and hip hop and classical academy just for 1 year and a half. I've been also developing my body also again with a lot of different type of space, body language, I would say, expressions. Then I stopped electro for a while, came back to crump, came back to my own inspiration that was also old way, as like ballroom scene, voguing.
Okay.
But mainly, I realized that it was always part of me to actually geek out and being a nerd about everything. So when I was like researching dance, I also research history, music. So I'm always researching movement, I would say. But nowadays, I'm more interested into experimental and shapes, I would say. Shapes with energy, but like it's really hard to explain. But at the same time, it's like it's the main reason why Goku, for example, me and him, he got Kepler together, you know. It's still a base of a strong feeling of feeling an alien, even without using the main dance of everyone, because it's like we're not going to do the same thing, or we're going to try to do the same thing, but even if we try to do the same thing, it's never going to be the same thing. So it's a headache every time, but not to feel different or whatever, but even sometimes when we're going to say something for us that feels normal, it's going to appear as weird. So by dancing with this, it's like our main focus is always research, or at least mine is always research and development. So I'm always just researching and developing. So it's there's a lot of inspiration now. It's like it cannot even hold into one idea. It's just there's all of this.
Too much.
Even
Right.
mostly movies now is even much more of an inspiration. I remember that there was that one moment when we kept talking about Avengers with Goku, and there was that one move that Thanos do with one thing, and there is the big moon behind, and he's like doing
Yes,
this, and he's
right.
literally miming the moon into like Tony Stark. So this for us is even a move that we can reproduce.
Right.
That's how
Exactly.
we're gonna do it. Or even like every people that like do Doctor Strange stuff. Even for this, it's like going with this and then just thinking, but there is an effect over here. It's like
Yeah.
this for us is like big move. Although I would say a more practical inspiration for us, even for Goku, the Battle Fest from New York,
Okay.
which is a whole other level of what we call animation. It's broke up, which is a style coming from Jamaica into the main city of New York, but like transformed with popping. So it's like vibing, but like with breaking connection,
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
flexing, touching, gliding. Also a lot of crump, but again, the list goes on. But Battlefest is a huge, huge, huge. Also a lot of lines with like alignment animation. It's like too much. Sometimes we even lose ourselves into another dance, and then it's like we're swimming into it, we get lost, and then we're gonna come back to the surface just to see like, okay, what was that again? Like this.
Got it, got it. Actually, related to the same, I wanted to know this one thing as well, that what were the challenges that you faced during your journey, and how did you overcome that?
Money.
Yeah.
Money is always a problem. I mean, it's a problem unless it's a problem until you make it so. But technically, I was not always thinking that I'm a dancer just because I don't have the same sometimes career as a dancer. But I understood also that. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
you still here?
Yeah, I
Sorry,
get
sorry.
you.
I also understood that dancing is a journey and not necessarily it doesn't look always like everyone doing dancing, because not everyone has the same baggage, not everyone doing the same thing, not everyone has the same passion. And a lot of my stuff coming from the streets, but also a lot of my knowledge come from academic people, and it's a clash between parallel. So for example, if I'm supposed to work with some people that I don't really enjoy, I still have to force myself to work, but that means if I want to stay true to myself, I would not earn any money whatsoever.
Right.
Which is, again, I've been also a bartender mixologist. I'm a DJ on the side. Yeah, the hustle. Again, the biggest thing is always the frustration to not have enough work. Nowadays, I'm working much more as a dancer, but that's because some situation sacrifice for another.
Right.
But yeah, money is always, I mean, to me, money is always a big thing and a big fear. So yeah, but again, still surviving, still here.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right. Amazing. What are the activities that you do to help your movement grow, or help you to give a perspective towards electro? What are the other activities apart from dance?
Wait, I'm just gonna reswitch this for the computer. Sorry.
All right. Yeah, that's fine.
Just gonna put this because otherwise I need to charge it. So that's why.
Got it. Got it. No
There
problem.
you go. Okay, so to answer that quite frankly, as I said, I'm always developing and researching, or research and development. That's like R&D. That's my main MO. It's like when I'm gonna do a training session, I'm not just gonna train in electro unless I have a battle to get ready. And even if I don't have a battle to get ready, I'm still gonna train a bit of everything, but not at the same time. Meaning that instead of training by style, I'm gonna adapt myself and try to train by efficiency. If there is a move that I cannot do, however the dance, I'm gonna try to create a way that I can either way imitate that move or find a way that I can do something similar that can be as powerful. For example, I'm not a big breaker, but I can guarantee you that I can do floor work. Like I could be a breaker, or I can exit a breaker into a battle. I did it once and twice, actually, even thrice. But I work also with breaker, and I know that I can do a planche without touching the floor with my head and my feet.
Right.
Just because I have trained specifically just to hold a freeze like this.
Right.
So I have basics on that. It's not electro, but for example, I use it into my experimental dance because I don't impose limits on just because I'm a stand-up dancer. That doesn't mean that I cannot go on the ground.
True.
So this, as a way of training, is better than to just say, oh, today I'm going to train and I'm only going to put electro music. No.
Right.
Why? I'm going to put everything music. I have a Spotify playlist. I have like so many different playlists, even just because I'm a DJ, but mostly because of my mind is always researching new stuff. And it's nice to be true to your heart in terms of music aspect, because at least when you have the idea, you have an idea of concept that you can train on that's going to be more honest about you. If you train yourself by being forceful as like, okay, I need to train on this music because I need to train on this music and because other people train on this music, it's good, but it's not as good as if you were honest with yourself. If you don't like a music, don't train on it.
Right.
Train on something that you're going to like, that's going to inspire you, so at least you're going to be limitless. And again, the goal, if you respect the image, there is proof on people that have a shadow of style and ideas original versus sometimes people that just reproduce movement just to have movement. If you turn off the music into a battle, you can see just the shadow and the shape and the images of anyone.
True.
That's true. That's like, you cannot even be wrong with this. It's like, there was that game that I was using that time. I used to switch off the music of the battle and put just Michael Jackson music on it.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was working. And somehow, even if the music is not the same BPM of another music in any type of battle, sometimes it works because we tricked our brain by saying, yeah, you're supposed to be on the sound, you're supposed to be musical, but sometimes you're not musical and it still works.
Right, got it.
Sometimes a lot of judges are like, yeah, that shape was fucking nice. That move, that phase 1 and phase 2 was like, it ended up the battle for me.
Right.
But he was not on the sound. He was not even on this. But it's like, yeah, but that move. And sometimes, so it's biased, but again, it comes from a place where you were literally training on a BPM that was not even electro to start with. And you find a sound that just allows you to actually take your time with your body to actually explore on the back, on front, to the side, in 360. So yeah, my main stuff is always thinking in 360. How that loop would work from this, to this, to this, to this, to this. Like, the people are the camera. Not even just one camera, but a full 360 camera. Just like Matrix.
Right.
If there is this move, it's not just front. It's like for everyone to see. So it's like, if I'm doing one move, I'm making sure that even that trajectory can be seen from every partner and every camera. And that's why you're coming also from the back. From like a move that I call reflow. It's like, instead of just doing move like this, nothing prevents you to just do this into this. And then there is more cinematic way into it. It's like you literally taking a big sack of rice or potato and you just throw it to the person and then you have the effect after that.
Wow.
It's like you're creating scenario just by moving without even using technique. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's very important that you using music for that, but music that speaks to you. It's like, okay, I'm going to watch a movie tonight, but do I want to watch this or do I want to watch this? Of course, I can watch movies that everybody watched, but I still have my own movies that just make me sleep at night, that makes me feel okay, that question myself about life and everything. So yeah, cultivating yourself is cultivating the stuff that you also like, not just everything else, but it's a huge part.
Amazing. Also, talking about music, we here in India play your tracks and we practice on it. I personally do the same, and you must have seen me sharing your tracks on my stories. So it's basically those tracks helps us to practice more the variation of music and everything. So I just wanted to know that how did you get into the DJing part? What inspired you to get into that?
There was like a few club. I've been like, I don't think I can never feel like I can consider myself an OG, but I was kind of here observing everything from the beginning, and I've collected music since I was like a child. Even my mom was in music and dancing back in the day, and that gave me, I would say, kind of an advantage. But one of the fun facts that I can say is like the first gift that I have that I can remember from my birthday, the oldest one, I would say like even when I was 5 years old or 6 years old, obviously I had before, but the oldest one that I can remember is an audio tape that I still have somewhere, but I don't have it now, which is a techno house music from 1982. And that tape, literally a tape, instead of just using like every kid, like, oh, the story of Star Wars on audio tape, or like the story of Hercules on audio tape, or something like this. I used to listen music to sleep.
Okay.
I was already into a problem. And it was not chill music. It was not like la 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 la. It was da 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 with a dum 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 dum. So based on that fact, even my mom was a huge support of music in general, and I would say references for like, oh yeah, this artist made that, this artist made that. For example, like, where is it? Even some type of vinyl that I still have over here that this artist made that. Like, yeah, I have like so many stuff. Even my room is filled up of stuff, and I cannot even show everything. But let's say that even now, if I can switch up the camera, no, I cannot switch up. Yeah, even this is still here waiting for me to play with. And if it's not this, there is always this over here and this over here as a vinyl thing. And there is like too much stuff. But yeah, again, that's not for me to say. But I've always been into music. But to me, it was kind of a chill way of being like enjoying life as like geek and video games. But sorry, I'm gonna rephrase the answer and the question again on the main subject. About this era, since 2006 till now, collecting music was even way more easy because of computers, because of downloads, because of YouTube, Spotify now,
Right.
SoundCloud, Bandcamp, but mainly because of one particular person called Techie Latex, which is a
Okay.
big DJ. And some of the big DJs that now I'm friends with, aka Raza,
Okay.
which is also a big DJ of drum and bass. All those genre, all those types, it was mostly because, again, researching music, trying to also develop myself as a dancer. The DJing part came a bit after when I wanted to actually do the same thing as Techie Latex, which means mixing 3 tracks together live
Okay.
and not knowing about it.
Wow.
Which means like if you don't even know the difference, that means you either way you don't hear the music, or either way you hear it well, but the DJ is very good.
Yeah, right.
And some type of way, there was some other DJ that just what we call make a blend. They still gonna try to match it together, even if it doesn't match, but they're still gonna play with it with a speaker on it or something like that. But the free way of making 3 tracks together play live at the same time is what we call a mashup. And that mashup can be either way. You're putting an old school generic of Power Rangers or Super Sentai or even Dragon Ball Z, and you're still gonna match it with some house or some techno around it. And this is gonna be a mashup.
All right.
But yeah, Teddy Kitano, Techie Latex, mostly London culture about grime music,
Okay.
Jamaican style music, and techno acid. All those type of tracks was my main inspiration for mixing and just like trying to research tracks over and over again. Also, inviting to the radio been a huge stuff, like
Okay.
Rinse FM and yeah, a lot of stuff like that. But yeah,
Amazing.
still on the ground though.
All right, yeah, definitely. So, this is actually very amazing to hear this because I am personally, I am not like, it's been around 2 years that I've started doing electro, and now
Yeah.
I'm like getting into DJing also a bit. One of my
Okay.
friend is teaching me, so this is something that the information that you gave now was something that is going to help me definitely to work on ahead. And coming back to the interview, I also wanted to know this one thing, which usually people get confused with. I have heard many people asking this question to me, that what is like the difference between hardstyle and vertigo.
Vertigo is literally the invention of art style people that wanted to dance on electro music. That was, let's say, the first part of Tectonic Killers Party.
Okay.
There was still some people already coming from outside of the whole cast of art style people, but that's because they were curious of what was going on into the Metropolis Club. Vertigo was just the essential part of the first move of what we call tectonic.
Right.
Oh, sorry, wait, I'm just gonna. Someone was just calling me. Anyway, so yeah, it was kind of the essential part of what we call tectonic because it was the branding of something that was more approachable than just art style. But yet again, when you see even Trixie and Vavan, they were huge dancers of art style before. And because of that, it became more, I would say, bouncier.
Okay.
Vertigo, as the name implies, is the way to be vertigious, or
Okay.
either way to have vertigo as like, oh, my head is like this now.
Got it.
And again, one of the main far movement from vertigo, if I can say much more of the time, because I was here to actually witness it, and I had even the technique from Trixie when he was giving class in 2007 about this.
Okay.
And I still remember it today.
Yeah, okay.
As I said, from haircut, which is this is a haircut, some people are going to say, and we have still this problem in electro community right now in everywhere in the world. Some people do concept, but they don't really do the steps correctly. So that means it leads to another transmission, which is a bit bad, but again, we're still here. So as long as they can battle, but let's say that in Vertigo or either way in Electro, this is supposed to be a haircut. Some people are going to call this still a haircut, but this is technically pointing and haircut together, which is this.
Right.
This has a combination with rotor. This is rotor.
Right.
This is rolling, like a full roll.
Okay.
So rotor is like 1, 2,
The half
1,
basically.
2. Yeah. When this is just pointing, because it's literally just disco pointing. So you can just do from this inspiration, pointing.
Right.
This is a whip.
Okay.
And the way to do whip is, again, like you can just do this, just like simple as it is. The rest of it is just going to be like big rolls, dash, sunshine. And either way, in Vertigo, they're going to say, for this, for example, this is still going to be a haircut.
Right.
But the way that they're going to be haircuts, they do one version that is called enroulé, which is in roll, which is a stop.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
The développé, which is the second version, is the one that's supposed to stop with like a headphones. So you can just liberate yourself or go to a transition into it.
Okay.
And the third version, which is the original version, is the art style version of it. When you're supposed to go down, up, and down with it. So there is still that base of art style move into it. And Vertigo is just the electro version adaptation on music of art style. That's it.
All right, got it. One same question related to this was what makes a dancer an electro dancer?
I would say based on the musicality and the energy, that makes the huge difference. For example, a hip-hop dancer, even if you take out all the technique, the groove is going to change.
Right.
The way to take the sound is going to change, and the attitude is going to change. For example, I would say that most of the hip-hop dancers, it depends when, it depends how, but most of the hip-hop dancers, however the music, they're not going to attack the sound and defend on the sound the same way as an electro dancer. Right. I would say, to compare both, electro has the same energy as breaking in terms of attack, as like top rock.
Okay.
That's why we, back in the day in Vertifight, before having the Kika, which is creation of Alliance Crew, before that, we were just hyping people dancing exactly like it was breaking stuff, on limit, on the same BPM. It was just, and even this was kind of a top rock thing for us.
Okay, got it.
And you can even just check as a reference for that. One of the main examples for everyone was still Milliard, and Milliard was already trying to do top rock into his way of doing electro. That's why he still had like good legs into this.
Okay.
And the spin technique that he had sometimes was literally inspiration of top rock also.
Yeah, okay, got it.
So the main energy that you can see on electro usually, now there is so many different energy. But there's still that type of attack into it. It's really frontal. It's really on the extremity of the body. Not necessarily always on the inside, but you can play with it technically. If you like, for example, if you take out the arm of electro, you can still use your legs, but the way you're gonna attack into it, it's literally because of the extremity of hitting something. Right. With hip-hop, it's more based on the inside. You can just like groove with it. And again, it's not the same sound, so it's not the same way to attack, I would say.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, amazing.
Yeah.
Last two
I would
questions.
say that, but yeah.
Got it. Last two questions I had. One is one of my favorite question that how do you see electro evolving in the future?
I feel like it could be a big comeback on everyone, and I feel it could also at one point becoming as important as hip-hop. I really do. It's gonna take time, but I really do feel that the most of the electronic music we're gonna have, the most of the people are gonna come and say, oh yeah, it belongs to electro dance, or it belongs to electro dance technique type of vibe.
Right.
And we've seen that phenomenon with some people that was part of the new generation right now,
Right.
but still think just because of maybe some bad transmission to some of the OGs, they still think that electro is a raving movement.
Okay. Got it.
Which is not really rave movement at all.
Okay.
It didn't begin or began with raving. It began with electronic parties, but that was not rave sound.
Right.
The rave sound that we actually talk about right now would be like techno trance.
Okay.
And literally people just doing this. But
Yeah.
now that there is a merger into it, again, it was not like that before. It didn't begin like that.
Right.
Yes, there was that notion of some people just going to every parties ever and trying to do electro on everything. But electro didn't begin with that. It began with electro dance music, not rave music.
Right.
And even Geber versus art style, it's still not raving music.
Okay.
I would say like sometimes techno acid can assimilate to techno trance, but it's still not rave. You see what I mean? Like it's not the same thing. Right. But some kids from that type of parties assimilate that with electro. I would say it's not a good thing, but it's still a good thing because it still gives a new fresh take on electro. Right. But as long as every new G understand where it's coming from also. Right. It's like saying, for example, that hip-hop dance was created on trap music. Yeah. No. Yes, a lot of people dance hip-hop on trap music nowadays. A lot of artists of pop or even way break love to dance on trap music, on some ASAP Rocky music. But it didn't begin or assimilate with that. True. Before that, there was 40 years of history. It was beginning with funk, with soul, with what would you say, like even like the locking music for us was still funk or disco, for example. Right. But there was no hip hop music back in the day because it didn't existed. Right. Right. It became hip hop music because there was also R&B and stuff like that, but there was no clear hip hop music. Just like for us, electro, technically, there is a clear beginning of electronic music for us when it began with electro dance. What we call electro dance was the type of electronic music that we have with David Guetta, Sébastien Bey, Chris Lake. All these names are people that I used to listen to because right. I wanted to dance electro. And everybody danced electro on that type of music. Some of the people, as I said, in Tectonic, used the Tectonic Killer albums, and there was already Chris Lake into it. There was already Fred Pellicero or Sébastien Bey again, Bart Bimore. All those people was used to actually play music called that Dirty South Electro because they were playing that in Ibiza. Right. That's totally not the same type of music that we're using now because we're using much more music from Disaster, which is coming from Mexico, people from Ernesto Noir, for example, that using track from old school electro like Drexia. Okay. Nobody danced that much on Drexia, but Drexia is like dun, 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 very like techno noir, you know? Right. But we didn't begin with those tracks. True. We never begun with those tracks. These tracks for us was even too advanced. Even if it's some tracks from the 90s. Right. Like, for example, if I say, what was the other one again? This is acid. Dun, 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 dun. This was a huge base for voguing community, but voguing community didn't begin with that track. True. It began with soul. It began even before the actual hip-hop community. Right. So, yeah. The fact that now we have people even in UG saying that, yeah, electro is actually raving, you know? And then do this. And they're just like, bro, wake up. It's nice that you do that on the raving. You can actually do electro dance on everything, technically, because it's free. Right. but that was not just raving. It's like way before that. But yeah,
True.
anyway.
Got it. Amazing.
Yeah.
Last but not the
Sorry for
least.
the.
No, no, that's okay. That's okay completely. Last but not the least, the important question.
Yeah.
What advice you would like to give to the upcoming electro dancers?
Keep being curious.
Okay.
Don't stay on just basics. Keep being curious about yourself. Keep being curious about music. Ask questions. Don't hesitate to actually. Don't necessarily question everything, but questioning yourself as like, am I good enough or am I judgy enough? I'm not saying you should take everyone in battle, but it's nice for the experience.
Right.
And sometimes it's also nice to lose. And it's also nice to just understand why I lost instead of, oh, they just don't like me. This is very bad. I had that case in Russia when I was like a few weeks ago. There were some people, and this is a huge problem because this is very toxic. And again, I've been maybe toxic in my life too, but I don't think so. Every time that I was losing a battle, I was not coming. I've never came to the judges to ask why. To myself, that was like, if I've lost, it's just because I'm not good enough. And even if I'm good enough to some people, I was still not good enough to make the judge look for me and vote for me. That's on me. That's not on them. That's on me.
True.
Some of the people are going to say, yeah, I'm taking you in battle right now because you judge like a shit and it's up to me to put some respect or whatever, blah, blah, blah. It still doesn't count as a decision. You lost, you lost. You win, you win. However you get a friend into the judge panel, however it's your crew, not your crew, however you want them to judge fairly or not fairly, at the end of the day, the organizer, the people, put those people as a judge. They're supposed to judge, they're gonna judge, even if it's biased as fuck, even if it's bad as fuck. Just come and pretend like you don't know them, and do the best to actually persuade them, even if they don't like you, to actually judge for you.
Yeah, right.
And to win. That's the only no excuse that you can have. You're not supposed to give them the excuse of not liking you or your personality so that they can vote against you.
Right.
And some people in Russia, like everywhere, even in Mexico, or even in France mostly, that case of figure is like some people arrive late at the battle. They ask to be coming on the pre-selection. When they come to the pre-selection, there is an order of things. For example, there is some people that arrive first, some people that arrive last,
Right.
and the judges are supposed to give points, but there is still some people that are in the queue.
Okay.
So, for example, if you have a 7 out of 10 on your pre-selection,
Right.
and there is still some people before you that also has a 7, which is a big problem for judging. For example, oh, you put a 7 on that guy, you put also a 7 on that guy, you put another 7 on that guy. That's 4 guys or 5 guys on the whole pre-selection that's going to have the same notes. What do we do? Do we do Armageddon to judge again if they are taken, or what do we do?
Right.
And if you don't have enough time, what do we do? The problem is still the same. The problem would be who arrived first
Right.
to do the pre-selection. And that's going to matter. And some people, just because they have a name, act like, yeah, but I had a 7 and they also had a 7. So why should I be the one that go out? And if that case, like, it should be just fair that nobody gets taken if they got a 7 like me.
Right.
Yeah, but what do you do about the people that are beneath you? And it's very toxic to say that, because that means, oh, if I don't have an apartment, nobody should supposed to have an apartment on my level. The fuck? You're not supposed to take people in your fall. Right. You're supposed to be humble, and you're supposed to swallow your pride. And instead of thinking of like, oh yeah, they had a 7 and I'm supposed to not be taken, then they're not supposed to be taken. Ask yourself why you had a 7 just like them, knowing the fact that you're different and you have a different move, a different skin color, a different way of dancing, and you still have the same notes. Just ask yourself that and take that to the judge maybe. Like,
Right.
Why did you give me a 7? Do I dance like him?
Got
Do I
it.
dance? Did I do the same thing? Like it's not like I didn't copycat him. I cannot have a 7.5 maybe or 7.8, but don't, for the new generation again, don't take it too personal, and just again swallow your pride. Ask yourself just why you were not taken, instead of why he was taken, why he was taken, why he was taken, and not me. Just
Absolutely.
only you, not the others. Only you.
True.
You lost a battle, train more. Come back first. Come back with actual potential of winning.
Right.
And really want to dance, not just stand here and being like, oh yeah, but the music was shit. Oh yeah, but I didn't have my good shoes. Oh yeah, but I was not feeling okay, but I'm gonna do the battle, but I don't know, we will see. Come on.
Got it.
There's literally people from all around the world sometimes that are literally traveling, spending money, trying to find an hotel, didn't slept, that are here even before you, and they didn't get taken. And you just choose to wake up and say, I don't know if I'm doing it today. I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no. I will see. Oh, wait, I'm late. Can I come still? Sorry. No, I don't have any money. I cannot pay for the entry, so sorry. On that case, I'm supposed to say like, yeah, well, if you're motivated, we're going to put the pre-selection early, so that if you're late, you miss the pre-selection. So no problem about 7 or 8.5 or no problems about notes.
Right.
There you go. Problem solved. But yeah.
Okay, got
So
it.
sorry. So sorry for that.
That's okay, completely.
Yeah.
So actually, that was a whole bunch of questions that I had, and
Perfect.
I appreciate you giving so much time to me and answering those questions. I'm definitely saying this, that when this gets out, many people are going to get inspired by you, definitely. And this
Perfect.
was so much learning for me as well. Definitely going to, when I'll be editing this all stuff, I'm going to write everything down and start working on it. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you have an amazing evening. Again, thank you so much
You
for
too. Thank
yeah.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for the information, and I'll see you very soon.